guys give up, or you're thirsty for more?
Hey, and welcome to episode 73. Gratitude to you for taking the time to click on that little triangle that points to the right for a go-around of this podcast that thrives on all things cinematic, past, present, and future. Whether this is your first listen or your 73rd, thank you. My name is Frank, and this is Silver Screeners. For this episode, we're going to make like Cher and turn back time and find a way to look back to the early 90s for holiday merriment, movie style. In November of 1990, that kid from the 1989 John Candy comedy Uncle Buck proved he had the box office mojo to headline what has become a holiday season classic, Home Alone, written by John Hughes and directed by Chris Columbus. After that smashed records, not to mention Joe Pesci's and Daniel Stern's craniums, he returned 2 years later in the inevitable sequel, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. This pint-sized, plucky, and persistent pipsqueak is Kevin McAllister, played by Macaulay Culkin. But if you are presently thinking, I clicked on that little triangle that points to the right to hear about films from over 30 years back. No! Ooh, boss, don't get your tinsel in a tussle. Just breathe and remember the inspiring words of actress Lauren Bacall. It's not an old movie if you haven't seen it. I am stoked to welcome two guests, both from England. First, we have Stephen J. Holloran, an actor, a YouTuber, an activist, who is making his first appearance in this podcast. His YouTube channel is really cool. He interviews people, he watches Ricky Gervais episodes and posts reaction videos, accompanied by our second guest, Dave, aka Davey A, who makes his third appearance on Silver Screeners. His podcast is called I'd Give That 10 Minutes, but I suggest you give it more than that. He and I also co-host a podcast of our own called Movies Across the Pod. We wanted to call it Movies Across the Pond, but that name was already taken. So pod it was. Pod, pond, tomato, tomato. The point is, these two guys are joining me to talk about both of Macaulay Culkin's Home Alone films. Our talk is pre-recorded, so once it wraps up, stick around, because there'll be the usual poll results and listener trivia segment with shoutouts. You don't want to miss those. So here is a fond look back at the beginning of the Home Alone franchise with Stephen J. Holloran and Davey A. Davey A. Stephen, welcome to Silver Screeners. Tell me, Home Alone 2, are they both classics?
Well, first of all, thanks for inviting me on, Frank. It's always nice to come back and speak to you, even though we're in regular contact. But yes, Home Alone for me, and 1 and 2, I should say specifically, because let's be honest, there's only 2 Home Alone movies, in my opinion.
Damn straight.
Damn straight, exactly. Still current, still funny, still amazing to watch. A family favourite, certainly with my family, and I'm sure families all around the world. But for me, a timeless, festive, fun classic, and one I continue to watch year on year. Loved it.
Yeah, me too. And thank you very much for inviting me on as well to play in your bowl bit.
Well, it's great to have you both on, and thank you for making the time for this. So right back at you.
Yeah, it's fantastic to be here. I'm looking forward to getting into it. I'm like Davey. I watched it every single year, these 2 films back to back. It's a Christmas tradition, so I'm looking forward to sort of sharing that passion with you.
Now, I'm taking an awful risk here because I'm about to say something that might reveal my age. My grandparents took my youngest sister and me to see Home Alone in the theaters when it was initially released in November of 1990. So when we saw it, it was probably some point in December. And I remember at the time thinking, okay, yeah, no, this is fun. I can get into this. I loved the slapstick. I loved Joe Pesci. Always had. It came and went. In my mind, it came and went, and we moved on to other movies and other things. And then the following year, the Christmas season of 1991, it was available on VHS. So yeah, probably rewatched it a couple of times. Enjoyed it. Thought it was fun. Then I was off to college 1 year later. So I was in college when the second one came out. And because I went to college in South Cupcake, New Hampshire, there was no way of getting to a movie theater because I had no car. None of us did. So going to the movies was just not a thing for me the first few years of college. By the time I was a senior, I had my first car. So I didn't see Home Alone 2 until years later. I saw Home Alone 2 Christmas season of 2001. So at that point, I was long out of the house. I was married for 1.5 years, and I watched it on my own. So I'm watching Home Alone 2 from the perspective of a 20-something, thinking to myself, yeah, this is good. I mean, it's not the first one, but it's good. I enjoyed it. So that's my history with this franchise. And then I went ahead and rented. Remember when we used to rent things? And I rented a Blockbuster or a West Coast Video or what have you. So I rented Home Alone 3. And when it was over, so was my interest in the Home Alone franchise.
Wow.
So I went back to the original. That became annual viewing. I went back to the second one. That became somewhat annual viewing. I like the second one very much, but I also have a soft spot for the original. But I'm talking too much. I want to hear what your experience is. First time you saw it, how old were you? What was your initial reaction to it? Your general reaction to it now?
Maybe.
I'll go first, okay? Well, I unfortunately didn't see the first movie in the cinema. I did wait for the VHS release, but did see the second one when it came out in the movies in the cinema, and was just blown away by the hilarity of it. It's very much a slapstick kind of comedy, you know, people falling, people slipping, things being thrown in the air, you know, falling into holes, that kind of thing. And that's right up my street. I love that kind of slapstick comedy with props and stuff like that. You know, like Police Academy, for example, portrays a lot of slapstick comedy, you know, heads in horses' rear ends and, you know, snip glues and mace sticks being swapped and stuff like this. So it plays heavily on the kind of comedy that I like. Yes, there was some good one-liners in there, and yes, some really memorable characters. But for me, it was always the slapstick element, the comedy, the traps, the people falling over, which was kind of turned up to 11 in the second movie. But the original being, well, the original, it's the one that has the most kind of heartfelt fandom for me, introducing us to that family and what Kevin can come up with when he's left on his own and how he survives. But rightly so, the second movie does need to be given a sense of appreciation because it has a really good cast in it, which I'm sure we'll dive into a bit later on. But for me, first one, I missed that trick by not seeing it in the cinema. I wish I had it done, but I was just very grateful to have gone to the second showing of it and seen it then. So yeah, it's a fun favorite for me, and I love it, and I still love it now.
Yeah.
What about you, Stephen?
Oh, well, I grew up with it because I grew up in the 90s, so I was about 10 in 1996. So all the way through the 90s, it was part of my tradition to watch it religiously with Santa Claus the movie. You know, even Die Hard was part of that. So literally every year it was the same. I preferred the second one growing up, but now they're both balanced equally. I think they've both got different takes on the same concept. I think it elevated what was popular about the first one pretty nicely. So I love the feeling it gives me every time I watch it. That sense of family, Christmas, and even the snow. Like when you see the snow on the ground and the Christmas tree. I used to obsess with Christmas trees as well. You know, and like you say, the comedy. Like you know, the jokes are subtle sometimes, but very mature and very cheesy as well, but very, very funny.
You know, it's interesting that you say that about the jokes and the one-liners because both movies are chock full of them. And for a while, I always thought that Catherine O'Hara sort of got the short end of the stick, meaning she wasn't given a lot of material to work with. I mean, she's an alum of SCTV, all the movies she had done, Beetlejuice and whatnot. Yeah. So the fact that she didn't have a heck of a lot of comic bits, at least the way I saw it for years, I always felt that she was underused. Looking back on it now, when I rewatched it for this, she has a lot of great moments that either went over my head or maybe just weren't funny to me at the time, or maybe I just didn't pick up on them. But she is the subtlety. She is great. In fact, I'll save it for a little while from now, but I do have notes of my favorite lines in the film, both films. And and it's the delivery. It's the lines themselves for the most part, but
it's also the glances.
Delivery.
It's the looks. It's the looks in her eye when she's looking at John Candy when he's talking, and all these little moments. You know, she's like, "You said you could help me." You know, it's these little moments. You know, just get on with it. I love it. Really good.
And John Candy improvised everything. Like he was on the set for one day and he improvised everything.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah. He was one of my favorite comedy actors as a kid. And I was gutted when I heard he died, you know.
Yeah,
that was awful. I remember that.
We all mourned the loss of an amazing comedian and comedy actor. And yeah, it was a one-day recording session with one of the most iconic scenes in the movie. And I mean, who doesn't love, you know, Gus Berlinski, Polka King of the Midwest? Who doesn't love that guy?
Polka.
That is what I want on a t-shirt.
Polka twist.
There was Twin Legs polka, Damabuji polka, Kiss Me Quick polka. There's a lot of polka variants out there. Sheboygan, very big in Sheboygan.
Sheboygan.
Try it. All right, try it.
Who doesn't want to travel in the back of a budget rental van with a load of polka bums? It's just brilliant. Love it. Love
Well,
it.
she doesn't. She got the same back at the same time as the others.
It was great though when she meets Gus and he says, "See that guy over there in the yellow jacket?" And there's like 6 guys in yellow jackets.
Yeah.
Who does he mean? Which one?
That's amazing. I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah.
And John Candy was, I mean, obviously he had done Planes, Trains, and Automobiles with John Hughes a few years earlier. So John Hughes asked him, "Hey, do you want to do this cameo? I'll give you a percentage of the film's profits." According to the E! True Hollywood Story of John Candy, Candy said, "No, you don't have to give me a cut of the profits. Consider this a favor to you, that you don't have to give me that much money." So he did the scene all in one day, all of his scenes in one day, made $414, which is the minimum that you could make at the time through the Screen Actors Guild. It's the acting union here in the U.S. He was probably kicking himself when the movie turned out to be, the top comedy of all time, for a record it held for, I think, 27 years, maybe.
Definitely missed out there.
Was he money orientated, or was he just in it for the craft, though? Because he might have just been in it for the craft.
He was in it for the craft. He craved the spotlight a lot. But he enjoyed entertaining people. He enjoyed the attention, but he simultaneously did not want a lot of spotlights on him at the same time. It's like you want it, but you don't.
That's what I'd be like, yeah.
Yeah, he was a private family man, loved his kids, threw himself into fatherhood, but he also loved being the life of the party and, mingling with the Hollywood elite and just enjoying life, really.
That's something we're aspiring to do. When we make it big and all these podcasts and media ventures we're all having our fingers in at the moment. We're going to be those guys in Hollywood, going to LA and golfing and smoozing with rich people. One day, folks, we're taking over the world.
One day.
That sounds good to me.
It does. Global dominance will happen once we get through Christmas.
Oh, if only.
I thought maybe we could go around and, if you think of any off the top of your head, just say some favorite lines of dialogue from either one of the two films, or from both. Okay. Because it's just, as I was saying earlier, Stephen, as you were saying, it's the delivery, it's the look in the eyes. Catherine O'Hara, John Candy, Joe Pesci, and of course, Daniel Stern. You just
all
cannot.
Amazing actors.
I think one of my favorite lines that Harry, Joe Pesci, says is, snakes. I don't know, no snakes. In and of itself, it's not even a funny line, but just something in his face when he says it just catches me off guard every time.
I love when Harry says to him, snakes, and he goes, he sounded like a snake. What? What do you mean he sounded like a snake? That guy. Oh, God, Harry and Marv, I love them. They're just amazing guys.
And not over the top either.
No, they're literally 2 terrible crooks who are being bested by a young child. But it's the fact that Harry, Joe Pesci's character, is not allowed to actually swear, so it's all like a bit like Muttley would do in Dastardly and Muttley. That whole like he just, he was trying to swear, but he's being PG, being rated 12 and so on. He's not allowed to, but you knew deep down he was thinking, "You bleeping bleeper, I'm going to bleeping bleep you, you bleep 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 bleep." These are all instead of swearing. But I love that about him. The whole comedic, like angry, but doing it in a child-related way is brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, John Hughes says that Joe Pesci had a really difficult time not dropping the F-bomb left and right around the kids. So he gave him a code word to say. He had him say fridge.
Fridge. Okay.
Anytime you feel the F-bomb coming out of your mouth, just say fridge. If you're around the kids.
Okay.
That's still hard, though.
I don't know if I'd be able to do that.
No, I couldn't.
I mean, who gives a fridge?
Doesn't have the same ring to
salesman? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I think for me, in terms of lines, especially in the first movie, I don't know why this one cracks me up so much, but it's every time it's said, I laugh. And it's towards the end few scenes when Kevin has escaped to the treehouse that he has. And he shouts out, "I'm going to call the cops." And Marv says, "We got to get him. He's going to call the cops." And Harry just goes, "From a treehouse?" Every time, it just gets me every single time. Like, they don't grasp it. You can't call somebody from a treehouse, honestly. It always cracks me up, from a treehouse. I don't know why it does, but I love it. It's his face.
It's because he's like, why does he have to explain this? But he has to do it continually all the time to Harry, to Marv. Oh, God. I like Tim Curry when he's doing his waitering. No, what was he? Head, on the second one. He's
a hotel concierge.
Hotel concierge. And he does his little glances, like he's like trying to put a pretense on, but he's in so much pain, and he's like, "Oh, why am I doing this?" You know, and he believes so much in his job, and then when he gets smacked in the face, he's like, "Do bundle up. It's awfully cold outside." And he starts crying a little bit. He goes,
"Yeah, his bottom lip starts to quiver, doesn't it? He's trying to he's just trying to hold back the tears."
It's so lifelike, isn't it? Because that's what I do if I'm about to cry. I'm holding it in. I'm like, okay.
I think in regards to the second movie, it is Tim Curry that makes it worth a watch.
Mm.
Yes, there's a great cast in it, and there's a good storyline that's parallel to the first movie. But Tim Curry, the might that he is an amazing actor on that screen, and a really funny hotel concierge that's just he's just struggling with a child. Again, it's like Harry and Marv all over again, being bested by a boy. It's ridiculous, but he's a really good character.
You know, when they always say, "Oh, the second one's not as good because it's not as original," but Tim Curry's character is the original aspect of the film. He carries the film forward because he's a different character, and we're seeing it from a different perspective. So it really works well when you see him being chased or being scared away by an inflatable granddad. You know
what I love that bit when the McAllisters get to the hotel in New York after they found out where Kevin is, and the concierge, Tim Curry's character, is trying to explain, they tried to confront Kevin and he ran and stuff. And Kate, Mrs. McAllister, says, "What kind of idiots do you have working here?" And he says, "The finest in New York."
I was going to mention that one. That's great.
Because he's pre, he's, when you call the call center and they've got a script and they're just reciting the script. That's all he's doing. But in this context, it means nothing. Can we help you?
What about you, Frank? Any lines stick out in terms of your favorites?
Oh, I got a lot, so I'm not going to monopolize this conversation. I'm going to whittle it down here. Okay, so I got one from the first one. Okay, Harry and Mav, right? I love the dynamic between the two of them because Harry thinks that he's intelligent. Mav knows that he's not. And that's what makes it work. But when they're outside in Kevin's driveway, or not Kevin's driveway, they're outside in a driveway and Kevin's looking at them through the window. Harry is telling Mav exactly what they're going to do that night. He says, "We'll go unload the van, grab a bite to eat, and be back at 9. And this is in broad daylight, normal volume of voice. It's like it didn't even cross their mind that probably not a good idea to discuss your burglary plan in broad daylight. I also love in the first one when Santa Claus is smoking a cigarette. He sees Kevin approaches him. He throws it off. He tosses the cigarette away, pulls his beard up, and I'm like, "Oh gosh, like that beard must stink." And then he says, "Oh, hang on a second." He says, "I got to give you a candy cane." He says, "No, don't have any." He says, "My elf took the last of the candy canes home to her boyfriend," and I'm there like, "For what?"
Explain that to a child.
Don't know if I want to know.
Fresh.
And old man Mally in the church, he says to Kevin, "This is the place to be if you feel bad about yourself." And Kevin says, "Do you feel bad about yourself?" And Mally says, "No."
Do you know,
I call bullshit.
Warning, bullshit alert.
I think for me, there's one character that we've forgotten about in terms of some of the best lines, and that is Buzz McAllister from the first movie. And he has two great lines. One is during the first opening scenes when Kevin tries to go into his room and he simply says, "Don't you know how to knock, flimwad?" Don't know what that means. I still don't know what it means, but I love the line.
Oh, is that not a term in the UK?
No, and for years I've not even bothered researching it.
Actually kind of disgusting.
Is it?
A wad of phlegm, like when you hock up a loogie.
Okay. Okay.
Is that an expression over there, hocking up a loogie?
Kind of. We have a different expression over here, certainly where I'm from. I'm sure different parts of the UK have different terminology. The other line, of course, again, cracks me up after Kevin asks if he can sleep in his room. And Buzz says, "I wouldn't let you sleep in my room if you were growing on my ass." It's just brilliant.
Well, he hasn't solved the problem still. He's got to sleep in there because he's on his ass.
In Kevin's reaction, he just sort of jumps and takes a step backwards.
It's terrifying. A huge, big brother who's kind of dominant in the house, and you're only small. There's not much you can do. Even when he entered the room, he was kind of like, "Hello, Buzz." He wouldn't even raise his voice because he knew Buzz would shout at him.
That's good character progression there, because in the second one, he pushes him over. He can stand up to him really easily after the experiences of the first. So it's good move forward for the characters.
Doesn't accept his apology for putting the candles by his ears in the concert.
Because he called him a trout sniffer. You're not going to believe it, are you? Get out that one, you little trout sniffer. Love it.
Mr. Cheapskate.
Oh no, Frank, Uncle Frank, he's a legend. Him,
His face.
Uncle
Yeah.
Frank is amazing. Great lines from him. You know, don't you ruin this holiday for me. Your dad's paying good money for it. And what's the other one? Oh, when in the first movie, when the McAllisters have taken off and they've come to the realization that they've left Kevin at home, and of course Kate's all kind of distraught. You know, she's analyzing her life. What kind of terrible mother must she be? And Frank comes in with, "If it makes you feel any better, I forgot my reading glasses." Whoa!
Oh, because that's the connotation.
Brilliant. He is brilliant. I love Frank. He's amazing.
Well, even before they
Oh.
realize they left Kevin behind, he has a great line when the camera's panning over him and his wife, and then zooming in on Kate and
Peter.
Peter. The camera's panning past Uncle Frank and his wife, and he says, "They're eating," and he says, "Is this real silver? Put them in your purse. Put them in your purse." And she's still like, Frank.
Stealing on
silver
the
away.
airplane. Come on.
Good. Oh, top it up, please. Top it up.
It's the first thing he asked when he got on the plane. They've not even sat down. There's free drinks, right? Free. Yeah, free. That's all he cares about, is being drunk on the plane.
And they're all in first class, and everyone else is back in steerage.
Well, you know, Peter did say, you know, they're having the time of their lives. You know, there was a brief acknowledgement of Peter McAllister's youth when he said that all they did was go across country in the family station wagon, and it kind of put me in mind of the Griswolds and their huge, great vehicle choices they drove around the country in.
The Griswold family truckster.
It's just amazing.
Every family should have one.
Yes, I totally agree. I don't have one, but it's one day.
One day. Make that today. Possible today.
You win.
So, Dave, I have a question for you. You
Yes.
pointed out the line that Buzz has where he says to Kevin, "I wouldn't let you sleep in my room if you were growing on my ass." Would you
Yes.
rather be told that, or would you rather be told, "I'll snap off your cojones and boil them in motor oil"?
Oh, that's a good line as well, actually. I think I'd rather the option of not sleeping in someone's room than having my cojones boiled in motor oil. It's far too grotesque for me. That's probably for the Home Alone R-rated version, you know, when there's actual torture, you know.
So.
Well, speaking of actual torture, when at the end, when Kevin's running through the neighbor's house and they hang him up on the hook of the kitchen door and he's threatening to bite off his fingers one by one,
Yeah.
during a rehearsal, Joe Pesci actually bit 9-year-old Macaulay Culkin's finger and ripped skin off. And to this day, Macaulay Culkin still has the scar. And he says that he
my
was really
God.
angry about it. He said, "I don't care how many Oscars you have. I don't care how good of a method actor you are. You don't go biting 9-year-olds.
Jeez.
So if you can imagine how that would go over today, it probably would go viral.
Yeah.
So yeah, but you don't see it on film because it was during the rehearsal.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's good. I mean, it makes the scene a bit kind of queasy, I guess, if you know that he actually bit him, but I suppose it was in rehearsals. You can put it to one side.
Maybe he just had trouble getting out of character from Goodfellas. I don't know.
How am I
Good
funny?
point.
How am I funny? How? Okay. I know I can't do a Joe Pesci impression. I'm sorry, everyone.
I don't think anyone can. He's quite unique, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah, I don't think Joe Pesci could do a Joe Pesci impression.
Apart from him.
I do have one question about the end of Home Alone that has been bugging me since I was a kid.
Okay.
Okay, so Kevin runs across the street. Well, Kevin calls 911. He lowers his voice and he says, "Hello, my house is being robbed. My name is Murphy." Hangs up the phone. Murphy is his neighbor, who is away on vacation. He runs into the Murphy's house, and that's where he's hung up in the kitchen door, and the basement's all flooded because they're the wet bandits. Okay, old man Molly comes in, conks them both off the head with a shovel, saves Kevin. My question is this. It's actually a two-part question. Number one, why did the cops, when they came and arrested Harry and Mav, why were they not questioning each other? Where the hell is Murphy? He placed a call. I thought he was here. Where is Murphy? They didn't ask each other. They didn't ask Harry and Mav. The second question I have, old man Molly is the hero, right? He comes swooping in. He's wearing the cape. He saves the day, right?
Yeah.
He did not report to the authorities that his little kid neighbor is home alone when the cops were there.
Ooh.
Molly, get your head out of your ass.
Perhaps all those rumors that Buzz was telling about him were true. You know, the South Bend shovel slinger. You know, back in '58, he murdered his entire family. Maybe this family that moved in isn't his real family.
Could be. Could be.
Hostages. Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, it never entered my mind about where the hell Murphy was and why Marley was not kind of more "let's look after you" kind of thing.
Yeah, he says, "Come on, let's get you home." brings him home, but to an empty house.
Like, wouldn't you have thought that he would have gone into the house with Kevin, make sure he's okay, and then he would say, "Oh, where's your mom? Where's your dad?" And then he would have known he went there, and so on and so on.
Then phoned, yeah.
It would then make, I suppose, the general plot of the movie a bit too intense, I guess, too much backstory to fill in too many plot holes. It was more about the comedy and the resolution at the end, the happy ending to the piece, as it were.
Yeah.
But definitely some major plot issues there.
So I got some fun facts here for both Home Alone films, but I didn't know if you had any, and if so, I really would like for you to go first.
Well, I only have one really, and that's in regards to Harry. I read that originally the role was offered to Robert De Niro, which, if that's true, it would have been a completely different movie. Yeah. Granted, another mafia actor like Joe Pesci, but I couldn't imagine Robert De Niro playing Harry. I could be wrong. I mean, he's done many comedic roles in his career, but I don't think the role of Harry would have been as good if it was someone other than Joe Pesci. I don't know. His style, his acting, his stature, the fact that he's shorter than Marv, and it's comedic in that way. I just didn't see it working myself with a different actor. But hey, who knows? Alternative universes, blah, blah, blah. It could already exist.
Yes.
I think the physical contrast between the two is what makes it work.
Yes.
Joe Pesci is short, Joe Pesci is pudgy, and Daniel Stern is long and tall and lanky. It's like Laurel and Hardy or Jackie Gleason and Akane. Although I can tell you that if Kevin were to say, "You guys give up," or "You're thirsty for more," I can picture De Niro saying, "You talking to me? You talking to me? I don't see anybody else here. You talking to me?"
Totally. Maybe they can just redo it, like say director's cut, maybe show some deleted scenes or something. It could happen.
So I got some fun facts about both films, but I'll be selective here, so again, that I'm not taking over. But for the first film, studio expectations for the film were very low, 20th Century Fox. When the film opened on November 16, 1990, it only opened in 1,200 theaters, which is not a lot. But it grabbed the #1 spot. It pulled in $17 million on its opening weekend, and it beat out Rocky V.
Wow.
And so they added more theaters every weekend, and then right before Christmas that year, it was now at 2,100. And it was the #1 movie every weekend in North America until the first weekend of February. At that point, it had running in theaters for 12 weeks. It didn't leave theaters until the end of June.
That's a hell of a run, though.
That's incredible. Just people couldn't get enough of it, could they?
Yeah, it's one of those films you all must see it. It's the comedy of the year. So you all want to go and see it in the best way possible, and that is in the cinema.
Yeah, agreed. I never saw it, unfortunately.
Who knows? Maybe they'll do a re-release one day and you can go and see it.
I hope so. I'll definitely go and see it.
Something else I have here. The director of the film, Chris Columbus. Say it with me. Kevin takes a look at the framed photo of Buzz's girlfriend, and he says, "Buzz, your girlfriend.
Woof.
Woof."
It was Buzz in drag, isn't it?
Yes, it was. Well, Chris Columbus didn't want to make fun of a girl's appearance, so that is actually a picture of the son of the film's art director wearing a blonde wig.
Wow. Buzz has got some taste, hasn't he?
I don't know. She looks pretty hot.
Did you think Buzz was a bit of a sleazy guy when he was asking about the fact that they have like nudist beaches in France and stuff?
We've all said it, haven't we?
Because he said, "Isn't it true that French babes don't shave their pits?" But they got new beaches. Like that's all he's going on holiday for, to look at naked women in France,
In winter.
In winter.
Got a girlfriend.
Oh, God.
And a tarantula.
Which, by the way, did not have its stinger removed before they filmed that scene. And it was a poisonous tarantula. So had it bitten Daniel Stern, that could have been fatal.
Wow.
And he was also wearing fake rubber feet when he's stepping on all those ornaments when he comes through the window.
Right.
And those ornaments, by the way, they were made out of candy.
I was thinking that it looked like sugar work of some sort.
Still would hurt though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would hurt. Shards of sugar, you bite into a piece of sharp sweet and it can hurt your gums and stuff. So yeah, it would hurt if you stood on it.
Yeah.
I think we need to mention the extensive level of detail that Kevin went to with all these traps. The foresight of knowing which way he was going to direct the criminals to the next trap in the room. As an 8-year-old kid, having that mindset, it's quite clever. The intelligence levels must be really high in Kevin, because
Must have been
I couldn't
planning
think
it.
of that.
Yeah, planned it for a long time for his family, maybe.
Maybe.
I'm
Well,
going to
the
get
fact that he
those
set them all up in less than an hour,
Yeah.
I know. Then he cooked
because
his
the
tea
clock
and
was
left it.
chiming as he was running out of the church. He gets home. He doesn't even have a chance to enjoy that mac and cheese from the
Oh,
people who
it's
sold
bugged
it
me
on
that.
sale.
years later, just a few years ago, actually, there was a commercial for, I think it may have been for Google, possibly. And Macaulay Culkin reprises his role as Kevin in the house, and he's using Google devices to like search the internet and turn ovens on and so on. And he actually does get to eat the mac and cheese. So he has like hey Google, turn the microwave on. Microwave does the mac and cheese, and you see him sit at the table, and he actually gets to eat some of the mac and cheese. And we're like, finally, like 30
He
years
finally
later,
gets a
he ate it.
forkful.
Yes, that really, really grated on me, because that whole scene before the clock starts to chime, you can see that the mac and cheese has been cooked. You can see the steam coming off it. And he goes to put his fork in and he has to put it down. And I'm like, no, eat the food. You're going to need the energy. Oh,
And then it probably has glue and feathers all over it at the end.
yeah. Why the hell you
Yeah.
dressed
Which
like a
leads to
chicken?
another one of my favorite lines. Why the hell you dressed like a
Dressed
chicken?
like a chicken.
Well, Macaulay
Oh,
Culkin
God.
for the original made $100,000. He was
Wow.
only known as the kid from Uncle Buck at that point. So
Yeah,
once Home
yeah.
Alone became huge, of course, the studio wanted a sequel. His management got him $4.5 million to do Home Alone 2,
Wow.
Amazing.
Wow.
and that set a record for a child performer.
Tell you one thing I do love about the second movie is the merchandising, because that talk boy that Kevin uses was made just for the movie, and then because of the popularity of the film, they made it as an actual product.
Yeah.
And I love that scene. Kevin, have you packed your suitcase? Yes. Yes. What, including such and such? Yes. Yes. And everybody wanted to do it.
Yeah.
We all wanted that moment where we'd slow our voice down and sound like Peter McAllister, the father. We all wanted to do it.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
How do you do?
We all want to ring up that hotel and ask for a TV and an extra large bedroom, one of those little refrigerators you have to open with a key. It's just brilliant.
Got it.
It's just too good. It's too good. Oh my God. I love that. I mean, again,
Well-
the second movie for me is all about Tim Curry, but the supporting cast, like Rob Schneider, for example, as Cedric. He's just hilarious.
Yeah.
He's just brilliant. I love as well, again, the fact that they can't use swearing. And there's that scene when Kevin runs in the hotel and Tim Curry's concierge is chasing after him. He goes into the elevator, and as the door's closing, get back here, you little and the door shut. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know what he was trying to say there. Sorry about that. You just knew there was going to be a swear word.
No. I always thought he was just going to say, get back here, you little sugar plum.
Oh, of course, festive. Of course it is. It was a Christmas movie. Of course it was sugar. No, you're right. You're right. I deeply apologize.
Well, I have one more here. In Home Alone 2, he stays at the Plaza Hotel in Manhattan.
Yes.
Now, at the time, 1992, it was more than $1,000 a night.
Oh.
Add to that all the room service that he ordered, a car ride from the airport to the hotel, renting a movie on pay-per-view. The grand total would have been probably about $2,200. That's according to Cinema Blend.
Oh my God. I would
Just
not
sell
be
Mr.
happy.
Duncan's toys. Just sell all the toys. You just got off Mr. Duncan.
Yeah.
But then how much does the merchandise that Duncan donated to Kevin? I'm assuming it wasn't Santa that gave all the presents. So how much does all that cost?
Who knows?
That's a good question.
That's a hell of a lot of toys.
That's like the climax of the second movie. They all, Kevin's been found, and all the families in the penthouse suite that's been given to them to stay. And they all wake up, all these presents around that have been donated by Mr. Duncan. And there's a lot of commotion. So what does Buzz do? He's trying to get everyone's attention. Hey. Because he can't whistle. Just blows a raspberry because he can't whistle. And I've always tried to recreate it. I can't whistle either. But I love that. Again, just a little quick bit of comedy, and it just makes me laugh every time.
He didn't open a present either, Kevin. You didn't open one present?
No. Well, he went to do it the nice way. He took like the first corner and intended on opening it, but then he realized he has to go and see the filthy pigeon woman by the lake to give her little keepsake, her little porcelain, china, whatever it's made out of, turtle dove keepsake, so that Kevin can remember her and vice versa. Spending a good Christmassy message throughout the whole movie. You can make friends from strangers, apparently.
Yeah, never talk to strangers apart from the one with birds.
But yeah, they're obviously safe, aren't they? You know.
Or birds?
No, the woman with the birds all around her.
Oh, I thought you meant the birds too.
Oh no.
I was gonna say, have you ever seen
Get the hell away from us? Oh no, don't. Can't deal with that. No, sorry, no. Birds want to kill people. No thanks. He was okay, you know. She was harmless enough, even though she was covered in bird poop. She's fine.
You ready for some trivia?
Yes, always some time for some trivia. Yes, please.
Okay, now you do realize, the two of you, that you're pitted against each other.
Okay.
So this is not a collaborative team effort. This is Dave versus Steven.
Dave, you're going down.
Downtown.
You little sugar plum.
Oh, see, it is sugar plum. You're right, it is.
You get your tip. Actually, that doesn't sound right, did it?
No.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Okay. So I have 2 questions for each of you. Okay. I'll alternate. 1 point for each correct answer. First one is for you, Steven.
Oh, dear.
Actor Bill Irwin plays the elderly husband of the woman that Kevin's mom gives money and her earrings to in exchange for the plane ticket. What other John Hughes film does he appear in? It's a comedy.
Yeah, I can see it in my head.
I'll give you a hint. It, too, has to do with plane tickets.
Oh, I don't know. Trains, planes, and automobiles. Could it be
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Oh, I love that movie, you see. So I can just picture his head in it. I can just picture his character in it. Even though it's been ages since I've seen the film, I've got to watch it.
No, I remember you mentioning on Instagram recently that it was your favorite or one of your favorites.
Oh, yeah. It's been a long time. I've been meaning to sit down and watch it. Now the bar's set, Davey. Do your worst.
Okay.
You're ready. Dave.
Yes.
In the Home Alone 2 montage where Kevin is taking in the Manhattan scenery,
yes,
he visits 3 of the following locations. Which is the one that he does not visit? So I'm going to list off here 4 locations in Manhattan. 3 of them he visits, 1 of them he does not. Which one does he not? A, the Fulton Fish Market. B, the observation deck of the World Trade Center. C, Times Square. Or D, Battery Park to see the Statue of Liberty.
I know.
I want to say it's Battery Park, see the Statue of Liberty. I don't know why I think that, though. Why? There's no scene where he's on the statue.
No, he's not on the statue. He's looking over at the Statue of Liberty through the binoculars.
Oh, of course.
Battery Park.
Oh.
Yeah, Battery Park is across the water from the statue, yeah.
Oh, rookie mistake there. I've
been there. It's a lovely park.
That's 1-0. No.
But there's still a chance to redeem yourself. Okay.
Yes. Some people are winners, some people are losers, Davey.
Steven, number 2.
Oh, God.
Name Gus's polka band.
Hang on. The polka Dodgers or something? That's all I can think of. The polka Dodgers or something.
Dave, you have a chance to steal.
I will happily steer by saying it's Gus Belinsky and the Kenosha Kickers.
Oh, God. God, I remember.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yes.
Damn it, I wish I hadn't jinxed it now.
I'm back in the game.
So now we're at 1-1. Dave, here's your second question.
Okay.
When Rob Schneider escorts Kevin to his room at the Plaza Hotel, how does Kevin tip him?
Oh, no.
He tips him with some chewing gum. It may have even been Wrigley's chewing gum.
It was a stick of Wrigley's chewing gum.
Yes, he does. Nice tip. Great family. Yeah. Really.
What colour is the chewing gum?
Usually sticks of gum are kind of like a grey colour, but I believe it was in a green wrapper. possibly lime green in colour. It may have been spearmint flavour. I mean, I don't know how analytical you want me to be about this piece of gum, but it was definitely gum.
What does the color of the gum represent on a deeper level, on the existential level of Kevin McAllister's experiences? Don't worry, that's not the tiebreaker. Okay.
I can't answer that one. What?
I thought I was in like some psychology lesson there. I was like, ooh. We're going
Well,
deep.
so where are we now? 2-1? 2-1,
Yes.
Dave?
Come on, Stephen. There's time to
No,
equalise here.
isn't it a free one? Because he got my steal, didn't he?
True.
Does it
True.
count? Does it count to get a point for that? Okay, 3-1 then.
So here's one for you, Stephen. According to Rob Schneider, what U.S. president once stayed on the same floor as Kevin in the Plaza Hotel?
So I'm just going to try and work through the line. Hang on. Is it Ford?
Not Ford.
Who was it? Not Nixon.
Nope.
Who is it? Someone like that, isn't it? Oh, go on.
Herbert Hoover.
Oh, I knew it was some sort of obscure one.
Yeah, because he says the vacuum guy.
The
No,
vacuum
no.
guy.
Oh.
So
I was trying to work the line in my head, and I just couldn't get to the line quick enough. So there you go.
looks like you came out on top, Dave.
Yes.
Damn
I
it.
still
Very
have
much.
a couple of spare questions that were going to be tiebreakers. You want me to ask them anyway?
Yeah,
And
let's go
either one
for
of you
it.
can answer them. It won't be directed at either one of you.
Do you have the
Okay.
time?
In the original, how much did the Little Nero pizza order cost the night before they left for Paris at the very beginning of the film? The pizza boy says, "You owe me."
$22.50 or something. What was it now? 200. Oh God, it was something like. I can't remember. I know it's along those lines, isn't it?
Along those lines, yeah.
Is it 122.50?
122.50.
That's it. I was missing the first one.
122.50.
Because Frank did say it's my brother's house, he'll take care of it. 10 pizzas times $12 plus tip.
Yeah, I remembered that.
I think one of the kind of endearing gags in the first movie is that every vehicle hits that statue outside the house. Even the guy's taking them to the airport hits the statue. It's like it has to be done. You must hit the statue.
Yeah. I think they broke it in the second one because he doesn't have to stand on it when it flings off.
Yeah.
Wasn't it beheaded, or am I totally making that up?
Beheaded.
Possibly.
I might be making that up. I'm not sure.
That was in with Arnold Schwarzenegger where he kicked a burning head through a window. Do you remember that? The Christmas movie, Jingle All the Way.
Jingle All the Way.
Yes. Great movie.
And I have one last question. Speaking of the pizza and knocking over the statue. Okay, here I am telling you this. I know, but this is just the way the question is worded. In Europe, there is a US-based pizza franchise that currently operates in Turkey, where it has almost 100 locations. And in Spain, it has 8 locations. And by the end of this year, by the end of 2022, they're aiming to have 10 more in Spain. Now, this pizza brand also plans to enter the United Kingdom and Portugal later this year. Home Alone parodies it by naming its fictional pizza joint Little Nero's, name its real-life counterpart.
Papa
Big-
John?
Big
No,
Nero's?
I don't know either. I've never heard of anything like that.
Oh my God, I think you've actually beaten me. I've no idea.
Little Nero's.
Think of Nero. Where's he from?
Concede defeat. I don't know. I don't know. Please enlighten me. Enlighten us.
Little Caesars.
Oh.
Little Caesars?
Oh.
So you haven't heard, according to the research that I was doing, it's not in the UK yet,
No, never
but
heard of it.
we're almost in December, so I don't know if maybe there might have been coming soon banners.
Not to my knowledge, but I'm going to be looking out for it 100%.
It's burned in my subconscious. I have to now. I'll be seeking them out.
It's very, very salty,
Oh.
which, depending on personal taste, may be a good thing or a bad thing.
A good thing. I love a salty pizza, and that's not taken as a metaphor or a euphemism. It's just I like a salty pizza.
I like a stuffed crust. Read into that what you will.
Well, yes.
Well, as we begin to wrap things up, I just want to make sure that you both have the chance to plug your own shows, your own projects. So, Stephen, let's start with you.
Oh, thank you. So losers first. I don't have to plug anything really because I'm just a freelance, do what I want to do sort of thing. I do a lot of reactions with Dave as well, but I'm also just out doing interviews and stuff on my YouTube channel. So I should plug that, shouldn't I? My name is Stephen J. Holloran, and I do stuff on my YouTube channel called Stephen J. Holloran. So Google it.
And there you have it.
What are you laughing at?
That was just impeccable.
No, it's what I do. It's what I do. I'm very, very knowledgeable with all my answers as well.
Dave, how about you?
Well, my name's Davey A. I am the host of a podcast called I Give That 10 Minutes. I'm also a co-host on the up-and-coming, still great and amazing podcast, Movies Across the Pods, with my good buddy Frank here. Your very own Frank has joined forces with me to do an amazing podcast where we chat films that one of us hasn't seen before. Both podcasts are available wherever you can listen to them, Spotify and others. But yeah, for myself, I Give That 10 Minutes, a nerdy chat about movies, sci-fi, collectibles, pop culture, and more. Yeah, you can find me on most of the socials. I Give That 10 Minutes. Seek me out, and you shall hear lots of fun things.
Both great stuff. The YouTube channel, Stephen, that you have, and Dave, I Give That 10 Minutes. Quality. That's how we connected. So
it is. And let's not take the shine away from our joint venture. I know this is all about silver screeners, but please listen to our collective efforts. It's well worth it.
Definitely.
Movies Across the Pod. I don't believe I know that one.
I think you do, Mr. Actor. I think you know full well what we're talking about.
How do you spell that?
P-O-D.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Shameless plug, I know, but we are part of a couple of different projects, so why not mention them? Yeah, there you go.
This is like the union of two mega cities, or like a crossover of Marvel and all sorts, all getting together on the global stage, isn't it? Me, Frank, Dave, together.
Like I said, global domination after Christmas.
Well, I want to thank you both again for coming on, for making the time. I know that with the 5-hour time difference, it's almost 10 o'clock p.m. where you are. So
that's not too bad, is it?
Yeah, it's good. Anytime. It's always good to come back and be a guest for a change. So yeah.
Yeah.
Have you back anytime, and thank you for joining us, everybody. I feel like I've just stolen the show from Frank, but yeah, thanks for joining us, and hopefully speak to you soon.
Yes. And thank you, Frank, for inviting me on, and thank you, Davey, for tolerating me again.
Hey, come back on anytime.
Yes.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
That was my conversation with Stephen and Dave, both from across the Atlantic. I want to thank them both again. And with that, it is time to announce the results of this week's online poll. So the poll question for this episode, number 73, was, if you were a kid Kevin's age, would you rather be by yourself and run into Old Man Molly from the original, or the Pigeon Lady from the sequel? On the Silver Screeners Facebook group, 22% of the votes went to the miracle worker and her pigeons, with the remaining votes favoring Molly. And Jean Marie offered this comment, Kevin needed Molly more than the Pigeon Lady. He would protect me. On Twitter, 25% of the votes went to the Pigeon Lady and 75% to Molly. And over on Instagram, McEwen Life went for Molly, saying, tough decision, but the scene where he reunites with his family still makes me tear up. So taken all together, Old Man Molly shovels the pathway to victory while the Pigeon Lady is left in Central Park with her feathered friends. As always, thanks to everyone who voted, and keep your eyes open on my socials for the next poll. Just check out the Silver Screeners group on Facebook, or you can follow me on Twitter at FilmBuff1974, as well as Instagram at Frank Mandosa 1974. Or you can simply email silverscreenerspod@gmail.com. And now it is time to head on over to the trivia segment. In each episode, there is a different trivia question that is directly, and sometimes indirectly, related to the movies we're talking about or the people in them. You're all invited to take a crack at it at any time. I do want to say that I like to err on the side of caution, so I do not announce both first and last names in case that would make anyone uncomfortable, so I only announce first name and last initial. But if you tell me otherwise when you send in your answer, full names it is, you'll get your shout out, as well as a movie-related meme sent your way with a personalized greeting. And do not worry about timing either. It does not matter what episode you're listening to, episode 1, episode 70, however far back, however recent, answer any trivia question from any episode at any time, and you will get your meme and your shout-out. And if you're a creator, if you write music, if you design websites, if you're a podcaster, a writer, a YouTuber, independent business owner, anything at all, I'm always happy to give your stuff a shout-out, no strings attached. Because, as I say each time, people help people, and that's all there is to it. So last time, we schlepped our way through the gaudy decade of the 1980s with a look at 1983's The Best Christmas Pageant Ever and 1988's A Very Brady Christmas. 2 TV movie schlockfests with enough sugar and saccharin to sweeten your Christmas coffee for a lifetime. And the question was, Jonathan Taylor Thomas of the Tim Allen sitcom Home Improvement had an early role in the short-lived series The Bradys in 1990. He was the voice of young Simba in 1994's The Lion King. Name the distinguished actor who provides the voice of Simba's father, Mufasa. And the answer is James Earl Jones. A movie-themed meme with a personalized greeting goes out to the following in no particular order. Taminia P., a member of the Silver Screeners Facebook page, welcome back to the Trivia Circle. Great to hear from you. We also have Ed R., who's in the Silver Screeners Facebook group and actually has come to a number of my live talks. Happy holidays to you and yours, Taminia and Ed. Kim M., my sister, and a loyal viewer of both of last episode's featured movies, The Brady Bunch and Best Christmas Pageant Ever from back in the day. I still recall our first viewing of A Very Brady Christmas that cold December night in 1988. 7 C's from the No 115 Allcast, a great guy and a great podcaster. We've both guested on each other's shows, and he'll be back very shortly for a conversation about another Christmas movie that I daren't reveal yet. Once again, I have the pleasure to call out Liz M., my sister-in-law, who, as I always say, kicks ass 8 ways from Sunday. I also have the privilege of calling out regular movie trivia champ, trusted listener, fellow podcaster, and friend, DJ Nick from the Gold Standard Oscars podcast. Check out his and his co-hosts, Rachel and Zan's latest episode on 1992's Unforgiven, just released a few days ago as of this recording. And my buddy Chris from the podcast, The Movie Psycho. His latest episode is on the new movie Violent Night. Give his show a go. And Mary C., who is racking up these movie trivia victories like Meryl Streep racks up Oscar nominations. Great hearing from you, Mary, as always. Thanks to all of you. Keep your eyes open for those memes, and to anyone else listening, no time like the present. Join the trivia. It's fun, easy, and does not cost you a cent. And you can begin with this episode's question. Macaulay Culkin, as a child actor, certainly made a name for himself as the star of a couple of Christmas-themed classics in the early 90s. Hot off his Home Alone success, he also featured in a recorded New York City stage production of what globally famous holiday-themed ballet that features dance numbers like Arabian and Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy. Send in your answers, and as always, if you have any follow-up questions or any comments on anything from today's episode or any episode that you've listened to, hit me up on my socials. Once again, that's FilmBuff1974 on Twitter, the film group Silver Screeners on Facebook, Frank Mandosa 1974 on Instagram, or you can email silverscreenerspod@gmail.com. And that brings episode 73 to a festive finish. Thank you to everyone who is listening, has ever listened, or who will in the future be listening. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Please don't hesitate to give Silver Screeners a rating on Apple, iTunes, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Catch you next time. My name is Frank, wishing you good health, good weather, and good movies. And until next time, keep on screening. And I leave you now with the soothing sounds of Kevin McAllister cutting a rug on the New York City stage in that Christmas-themed ballet and having a marvelous time of it, until his mother Kate notices him from the audience.